We have this from scnr.com. Trump ordered to pay $83.3 million in damages to E. Jean Carroll. Our legal system is out of control and being used as a political weapon, the former president said in response. Now, Trump has repeatedly said he never met this woman. Many on social media have pointed out that her story about Trump is the plot to an episode of Law & Order SVU. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did not hear that one?
Yeah, no, it was. It was similar to a plot that was in a Law & Order.
That's right.
I'm not saying she got it from there, but awfully
people are pointing out
awfully coinky-dinky, isn't it?
And then we have this from Nikki Haley, who tweets, Donald Trump wants to be the presumptive Republican nominee, and we're talking about $83 million in damages. We're not talking about fixing the border. We're not talking about tackling inflation. America can do better than Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Let me tell you what Nikki Haley is doing here. First, Donald Trump issued a statement saying he does not want to be the presumptive nominee. That's right. He wants to win legitimately, and these primaries are actually good for him. So she's lying there. And then she is taking an attack from Democrats to use against the most popular Republican right now. This is disqualifying. She's a Democrat. She's got Democrat donors, Democrat voters, and she's using Democrat tactics to try and go after Donald Trump.
And using Larry Elder's tagline. For decades, I've been saying we got a country to save. And I said it over and over again during the campaign. Now, all of a sudden, Nikki Haley's been saying it. We've got a country to save. She's been ending her speeches with, we've got a country to save. Stole it from the great Eldersky. I get no royalties. I get nothing.
The great Eldersky. I love it.
And if Donald Trump has to pay her $83 million, why? I should have sued the LA Times for defamation when I was called the blackface of white supremacy. What could I have gotten?
Well, this is what's laughable.
Nothing, because we live in the logic of Herbert Marcuse.
Right. This is laughable. I actually tweeted something at Frank Luntz because he was talking about it. And I'm just like, anybody who works in media and journalism knows this is fake. And any journalist claiming otherwise is lying to you. Why? Every journalist knows Times v. Sullivan, because every day you write about someone, it has to, you work for LA Times. Oh, wait, sorry. You don't work for LA Times anymore. You work for the New York Times. When you're writing a story, it's got to get checked by legal. Legal has to, the lawyer goes through and makes sure you're not in violation. They all are aware of defamation and libel laws. And so here, Donald Trump is being told to pay $83 million. He's not allowed to say he didn't do it. It's remarkable. But Trump said several times in court when this was going down, this is not America. And the scary thing is, we are now in the world where there is no law. There's none. Yep. There is only left and right jury pools. And good luck.
And double standard. You've got Navarro facing 4 months for defying a subpoena. Meanwhile, Eric Holder was the first AG to be found in criminal contempt of Congress for failing to comply with a subpoena when he was required to turn over documents regarding Fast and Furious. Nothing happened to him.
No, I mean, there's a complete double standard. Even in this case, if you read the excerpt from E. Jean Carroll's book where she accuses Donald Trump, she says it was in maybe the summer or maybe the fall, but maybe the spring. She can't remember any of the details. She says the dress is still hung in her closet. Like, all of her allegations are ridiculous on their face. And he's never been tried in a criminal court, right? He has just been put through civil trial.
He's never been allowed to defend himself.
He's never been allowed, and in fact, he wasn't allowed to defend himself when he was president, just speaking openly. But she was allowed to make allegations with no basis.
There's a boatload of tweets that the Trump defense team wanted to submit that were incredibly graphic and called into question whether or not E. Jean Carroll is the kind of person that would be considered promiscuous or, just really reliable. And they just said, no, you can't put them into.
It's a complete double standard. She was allowed to be treated in a way that Donald Trump was not allowed to be treated.
The problem, and Larry knows this just as well as anyone else, and it's something that I harp on. We live in the logic of Herbert Marcuse. We live in a society where one political opinion is acceptable to attack. It is acceptable to use the government against one group of people that have a certain political opinion. It is acceptable to be violent against them. It's acceptable to hit them. It's acceptable to take their property.
I disagree.
You don't think that's the case?
That may have been 10 years ago, but since the culture war expanded to the point where we're at now with like Bud Light, I think it's now clear that institutions have no problem espousing the ideology of their side. The issue with this is that Donald Trump was sued in New York City, where it is a stronghold of communists.
Jurisdiction does matter, yes, fair enough.
Donald Trump should sue in West Virginia, where 86% of West Virginians are huge Trump fans. And the jury pool would be like, we are impartial, and Trump should sue her for defamation in West Virginia. The question is, why does he not? If Trump went to West Virginia and said, I got a house here, I'm suing her here. He'd win in 2 seconds. He'd win $83.3 million. In fact, he'd win simply because I guarantee you poll 100 West Virginians about this, and they're going to be pissed off. Not everybody's going to know about it. Don't get me wrong. But if they know, they're going to be like, they're doing what to Donald Trump? In fact, you go to Western Maryland. Okay, Maryland, which is, Baltimore has basically got its boot on it. And we went to a diner, and they had flags of Donald Trump riding a tank, standing on a tank with fireworks exploding and him holding like an Uzi. There's one of him on a velociraptor. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, these people love Donald Trump. Yeah. Donald, sue her back and do it here. And sue her for defaming you for claiming falsely. How amazing would it be?
You could even do it in the middle of California. I talk about this in my book. I travel up and down the state. There are large portions of that state where they love Donald Trump. I'm driving, I see big Trump signs. The farmers love him. People in the middle of the state adore him. It's people in the Bay Area, in San Diego, and in LA. They're the problem.
This is what we need right now. We need Donald Trump to sue E. Jean Carroll in West Virginia so that we get a default verdict, same as however it is his cases are going down, where they say it was false and defamatory that she claimed Trump assaulted her, and that she has to pay him because of it. So then New York says, no, Trump did. And then West Virginia says, no, she lied. And then there you go. The issue right now, what you're bringing up, Phil, is that it's true in the sense that it's true that Democrats and their institutions have no problem breaking the rules and doing these things. The only issue is, I don't see Trump filing a lawsuit in West. Like, Trump could just choose to do it. He's not. Yeah, he's not doing it.
I have no qualm with what you're saying, and I agree. The solution to this stuff is lawfare. It is to bring as many lawsuits against any politician, any organization that's left leaning, anything that you can come up with.
But do you think that meant he would have had to sue E. Jean Carroll in 2019 when she first released this book?
I have no idea.
Because, theoretically, that would have been the first way to set precedent.
Who cares? Sue her for something else.
He would have been the president and they would have freaked out.
But it doesn't matter, because what we're clearly seeing here is lawfare. The trial against Trump for fraud in New York is clearly false. These claims are ridiculous on their face. So if they're going to look, they created a new law where women could bring up old cases and sue over it or something like this so that they could, which case was that? Was it E. Jean Carroll, where she could claim that, because I think this is defamation. This was not related to sexual assault or I'm not sure.
You're talking about her lobbying to change the laws in New York?
There was a law that said we're going to introduce a 1-year window where people can sue.
I think
over
it was to go after Harvey Weinstein.
Right. Okay. That was for Weinstein. I think so. If they're going to play this game, and all that really matters is a judge is going to determine for some reason or another, Trump is not allowed to defend himself. So let's look at the fraud case. The judge ruled in default. He said, nope, Trump committed fraud. End of story. Have a nice day. You can't defend yourself. Mm-hmm. They just bang the gavel. It's done. Okay, well, Trump go to West Virginia and find someone who will do the exact same thing in the other direction. There we go. It's the only way it's going to change. Or the only moves we can make.
And there are a bunch of Republican AGs who also could figure out all sorts of ways to sue Democrats for this, that, and the other.
That's another thing that's maddening is there's plenty of Republican AGs. They should be inundating Democrat politicians for anything. It should be no holds barred lawfare. Just as much litigation as possible. This is the way they want it. Give it to them.
There's so many double standards. One of them is this election denier stuff. Hillary, for 4 years, referred to Donald Trump as illegitimate, said the election was stolen.
Did you see just the other day when Biden said that the governor of Virginia?
No, governor of Virginia was a real governor. Yeah. And you had the race in Georgia. Stacey, what's her last name?
Abrams.
Yep.
Stacey Abrams claims that she lost because of voter fraud. Hillary, for 4 years, referred to Donald Trump as illegitimate. 4 years. And the AG, a DHS secretary under Obama, Jay Johnson, testified under oath. Not a single vote tally was changed by the Russians. They tried, but they failed to change a single vote tally. 66% of Democrats, according to a YouGov poll, believe the Russians changed vote tallies to get Donald Trump elected. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Carter said it.
Yeah.
Imagine the president saying that election was stolen.
It is indescribable to try and explain to people like what it's like trying to make people understand that the idea that like the conservatives are living in a fantasy world, and you hear the rhetoric coming out of like MSNBC and CBS and all the the standard narrative producing organizations.
The smear merchants.
And whenever I've said this, people push back and go, well, Hillary didn't file a lawsuit. Yes, she did. She joined the lawsuit that Jill Stein filed against Wisconsin and filed a separate motion to have the recount done by hand. Mm-hmm. Well, Hillary didn't storm the Capitol people on January 6th because she wasn't president. But Donald Trump got elected in November. There were 40 cities where there were protests, including violent protests. Police cars set on fire.
Mm-hmm.
In D.C., hundreds were arrested. And get this, not only were there hundreds of people setting fires, smashing things.
That was at the inauguration.
Mm-hmm. At the inauguration.
Yeah.
The city actually paid the rioters.
Yeah.
The city paid the rioters out.
Yeah, there were 200 or 300 of them, as I recall. But I'm talking about when Donald Trump got elected. There were 40 cities where there were violent protests all over, including setting fire to police stations. My point is, had Hillary been president and the shoe were on the other foot, and the election was this questionable, you're telling me that her supporters would have said, oh, well, let's rub some dirt on it. We'll get
so
back.
You're saying Barack Obama engaged in insurrection? Barack Obama waged insurrection.
In what way?
Well, he was president when all of his supporters went out and started burning things down. So that clearly means Barack Obama.
Yeah, from his rhetoric.
Because I don't recall Donald Trump saying to be violent or stormed anything. In fact, I recall Trump saying go home.
Yeah, and he said, I want you to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Kamala Harris said that the people that were out in the streets should be. That verbatim, and they should be. They're not going to. She was saying they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. They're out there, and they should be.
But why do you think people forget these things? Like all of these details get
the BLM riots.
Yeah,
I don't think they forget. I think the issue is Democrats don't know and don't care. I'm going to use Marianne Williamson as a good example. I heard she just dropped out recently too. I don't know if that's true.
Did she?
I think she may have. You want to check? But Marianne Williamson is a lovely woman. She's very nice. Mm-hmm. She's very smart. But she's unfortunately living in Wawa world, where
she wants the Department of Peace, doesn't she?
Well,
yeah.
When we had her here, and we said, here is a bad thing that is happening, she goes, oh my, that is so bad. I say, here's another bad thing we're concerned about. She goes, wow, I didn't know that was happening.
Wow.
When you show her, hey, here's news. Like, for example, there's a book called Not My Idea that's just being given to children in public schools, where it depicts white people, a white person as a devil offering you a whiteness contract. She nearly cried when she saw it. The issue with Marianne Williamson and many default liberals is they are being manipulated by demonic, I mean that figuratively, some might mean it literally, propagandists, and they're not aware of what's going on. Now, you said, do people forget or not remember? All of us remember all of it.
She's still in.
She's still in? Oh, okay. I apologize. All of us remember all of this stuff, and we talk about it all the time, and we'll be on the show and someone will say, remember when this happened? Remember when that happened? It's that people like Marianne and her followers are never exposed to it in the first place. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.